Imagine growing up as an outcast in your own village. You're picked on, pushed around, and made to feel entirely alone. Yet all the while, you are the secret heir to a massive kingdom. In this story, a hidden lineage and a simple gold ring set the stage for a collision between a mother's honesty and a ruler's fear. The origin of this particular secret begins deep in an ancient forest. The king of Benares was enjoying a hunting trip when he wandered too far, entirely separating himself from his royal guard. Lost and alone, he followed the sound of a sweet voice echoing through the trees. It belonged to a young woman singing to herself as she collected firewood. They spent the next few days together, and a fleeting woodland romance blossomed. When it was finally time for the king to return to his palace, he left her with a specific set of instructions. He handed her his royal signet ring. If she bore a daughter, she was to sell the ring to provide for the child. But if she bore a son, she was to bring the boy and the ring straight to the royal court. This small piece of jewelry was suddenly the only physical link between a peasant woman's reality and the future of an entire dynasty. It was a fragile guarantee, resting entirely on the word of a man who was already miles away. Years later, the resulting child was dealing with the harsh consequences of that woodland romance. He was relentlessly bullied by the local children, who tormented him with the cruel nickname, No Father. Have you ever been defined by an unfair label, something pushed onto you by people who knew absolutely nothing about your actual worth? The boy finally reached a breaking point, running home in tears. Seeing his pain, his mother decided it was time to drop the silence. She explained that his father wasn't absent. He was the ruling king of Benares. To back up her story, she retrieved the royal signet ring. She handed it to her son, giving him hard, physical evidence of his true lineage. With the ring in hand, the dynamic completely shifted. They stopped accepting the village's abuse, packed their things, and set off for Benares to claim the boy's rightful place. They arrived at the Royal Assembly Hall, a massive, intimidating room packed with the kingdom's highest-ranking ministers and powerful advisors. Stepping in front of the entire court, the firewood collector reminded the king of the time they spent together in the woods, and then introduced him to his son. The king looked at the woman, looked at the boy, and then looked at his assembled ministers. Paralyzed by the potential embarrassment of acknowledging a peasant romance, he protected his ego. He looked his son in the eye and stated, "He is not my son." The mother stepped forward and presented the signet ring, the exact item he told her to bring. The king doubled down. He stared directly at his own royal seal and claimed, "It is not my ring." It makes you wonder, how often do people choose to maintain a comfortable lie simply because the truth is too socially awkward to admit? The physical evidence had failed. When a supreme ruler chooses to deny reality, the entire system of justice breaks down. The mother had no witnesses, no legal recourse, and only one desperate option remaining: pure faith in the absolute truth. Realizing that earthly proof was useless against royal pride, the mother made a desperate decision. She invoked what ancient texts call an act of truth, a test where reality itself is asked to intervene. She declared that if the boy was truly the king's son, he would remain in the air without falling. If he was not, he would fall to the stone floor. Then she grabbed her child by the foot and hurled him into the air. The court braced for impact. Instead, the boy stopped completely. He hovered, suspended perfectly in midair, sitting calmly in a cross-legged position high above the staring ministers. Floating there, the child looked down at his father. He pointed out the vast resources the king spent feeding countless horses, elephants, and strangers, and asked why a man with such wealth would refuse to care for his own flesh and blood. The visual of his floating son shattered the king's false pride. The physical laws of gravity had bent to accommodate the facts, making the king's earlier denials look entirely ridiculous. The king dropped his defenses. He reached his arms up to the sky, accepting his son and immediately declaring him the crown prince of Benares. It raises the point: why waste energy defending a false front when acknowledging the facts, no matter how difficult, immediately clears the air? The boy grew up to be a highly respected ruler. He remembered his origins, ensuring fair treatment for all his subjects regardless of birth. And in a nod to his difficult childhood, he chose to be officially crowned under the title King No Father. While the king's lie had offered him a few moments of comfort, the truth eventually forced the world to reshape itself around the facts. In Benares, the legacy of King No Father lived on as a testament to the weight of a person's word.